We're excited to hear this morning from Curt Porrit, and I'll turn the time over to him. Go ahead, Curt.
Morning. Is this thing on? Can you hear me okay? Okay. I'm Curt Porrit. I'm the Senior Vice President of Marketing, for those of you that don't know me. This shindig is kind of under my jurisdiction, although I have a really good team. And I don't actually do very much anymore for this shindig, but I used to. But now I have, all of you have probably met Jill and Emily out there. Every single year they come, and probably the month before this event, they work evenings and weekends and do their best to make sure it's a good event for you guys. And I think they do a really, really good job. I think they deserve a great hand. Okay, just out of curiosity, how many of you are here for the very first time? Very first Master Summit ever? Look at that, that's good. How many of you have been to every single Master Summit, all 6 since 2008? More than well, Jonathan Crowther, you don't count. Geez. Yeah, we have some that come every single year. I was talking to somebody the other day that was here for 5 of the 6. Pretty good event. Anybody having a good time this week? I think the best time I've had was watching Alicia Garcia on Casino Night. She kind of lost it a little bit there, I think. You learned anything new? Good. I think one of the comments that makes me the happiest during these events is I ask people all the time. I'm always talking to customers and asking them, what they like best or how it's going. And one of the comments I hear the most is it's just information overload. They get to the end of the day and they feel like they've just done too much. And the other comment that I really enjoy is since we do the 4 tracks, it's impossible to attend everything, obviously. And every so often I'll hear somebody say, boy, I just wish I could have attended, more. I had to miss this one to do this one. That's kind of what we want, okay? It's a good problem to have. So I want to talk today a little bit about customer success and specifically some of the things that we're trying to do at MasterControl to encourage customer success and promote customer success. But also, as we go through this, I think you'll see one of the main points that I want to make is what your part is in customer success. As we try to help you succeed, how can you help yourselves succeed? And unfortunately, I know it's a little bit early. We let you out on your own last night. We didn't have any planned activities, so I hope everybody's awake enough to think just a little bit this morning. So we're going to ask some questions about business and about your role in business and so on and so forth. I'm going to wax philosophical for just a minute. So let me ask this question real quick and ask you to think about it. What is the purpose of a business? Okay, you don't have to raise your hand, but just think in your mind for a minute how you would answer what the purpose of a business is. If you're like 90% of the people that I ask this question to, they will say to make money. Okay? Now, trying to get you to think a little deeper this morning, why do you want to make money? Sure, of course a company has to make money. You cannot survive in business if you don't make money. You have to be cash flow positive, you have to be profitable, all that sort of thing. But that's not the end of the question, is it? Is there inherent value in money? Or do you want to make money in order to get something else? It's really something else, isn't it? Suppose you all made money and did nothing with it. What is the value of money? Not much. Okay? So what we're going to talk about a little bit is what is that something else? What is true success? Obviously, money is part of it, but just by way of an example of this, there are a lot of little surveys that have taken place or studies for the last 50, 60 years on what motivates an employee to do good work. Okay? And just like the other question of what the purpose of a business, generally when you ask people, when you ask employees face to face, what is it that motivates you? What's the answer you get? Money. I'm here to make money. Okay? But interestingly enough, when they do the studies, and this is just one of many you can look at, but they all come out pretty much the same if you compare them. The top 10 employee motivators, the things that make us really want to go the extra mile and do something truly fantastic and be successful in every way we can, are these. Number 1 is a recognition for a job well done. I think it was Mark Twain once said that he could last for miles on one compliment, go for miles and just one positive thing that people say about him. Okay? Recognition. Just, you did a good job. Thank you. A healthy work environment, meaningful work or achieving something worthwhile, so feeling like you're not just coming to work, putting in time, going home, and you didn't do anything worthwhile. Responsibility and trust, actually saying, I trust you to do this. I'm going to delegate this to you. I'm looking at somebody and they're going, not me, not me. But that's what's important for us. That's a big deal. That motivates us to do something better, to be successful. Accountability, ownership, similar to responsibility and trust. This is your project. You will live and die by this. This year I actually did an experiment with this particular conference. Every year I worry a lot about it because it's a big deal for us. This year I just kind of let Jill and Emily do their thing. I have done almost nothing for this conference, and they did fantastic. And at the end, I think the end result is probably going to be they're going to say, yeah, that was my event. That's me. Okay? Interestingly enough, number 6 is equitable compensation. There's our money. Yeah, you do have to make money. But what the studies seem to show is once you make enough money for your needs, whatever those needs may be, and it's probably different for different people, anything above that doesn't necessarily add to happiness, doesn't necessarily add to motivation, doesn't necessarily add to our well-being in life. That's fascinating to me. You see these people that kind of do it as a hobby sometimes, I think. They got millions of dollars and they just continue to make money. For the most part, though, people need to make enough for their needs, but it's not the most motivating thing to us. The chance to learn and grow, the chance to do great work, understanding of the big picture is something people enjoy. Why am I doing what I'm doing? How do I fit in? What kind of cog am I in this big machine that's doing something? What is it doing? Okay? The chance to work with interesting, motivated, responsible people, which is fascinating that that's number 10, because the entire list is talking about what makes people interesting, motivated, and responsible. So if we would do these things, you would automatically get number 10, theoretically. Okay? So the money thing on the business is an interesting deal. Let me just present a bold idea. Some of you have heard me talk about this before, but let's suppose for a moment that businesses exist for the sole purpose of making life better for people. That's the reason you want money, I think. Okay? There are some interesting things about this, though. It is what we're ultimately after, I think, is trying to make life better. But there is a question that comes about with business that each of you will need to answer as we go through this presentation for yourselves. There are 2 ways that you can do this. If you're trying to make life better for somebody with a business, who is it? And the question is simply this: does a given business exist to make life better for the few, often at the expense of the many? All of you have probably worked for a company like that, I'm guessing. Or does it exist to make life better for the many, sometimes at the expense of the few? Now, when I have this conversation with business leaders every so often, one of the interesting things that comes out of this is you can immediately tell what kind of business leader they are. Because a lot of businesses exist to make life better for the few at the expense of the many. The CEO that is in it for himself, the board of directors that wants to make profits. We have some people in our company who came from businesses they talk about where employees were viewed as a necessary evil. You had to put up with this employee thing in order to make money for me. Okay? Well, you can do the same thing with customers. Is it in business to make life better for as many customers as possible? Or is it in business to make life better for this minimal amount just to get by so we can make our money and move on? Well, if you use this philosophy of business and you say, okay, it is really making life better for as many people as possible, for whom then? Owners and executives, obviously, employees, customers, partners, vendors, the community. My question is, why not all of the above? If you take that approach and you say, if a business makes life better for all of these groups, do you win? And now we're starting to say customer success. How do we get you to win along with everybody else? If you win and we don't, we can no longer support you. If we win and you don't, you can no longer support us. Okay? And it just works that way. We have a very good company at MasterControl that kind of, they wouldn't verbalize it this way, but they kind of try to hold to this view of life. We want to make as many people successful, as many people happy, and make life better for as many people as possible. All of these people are part of our success. And if they are all successful, the chance is really good that we are. The same thing is exactly true for you. If all of these people are successful, you're going to be successful. No doubt about it. Okay? So it's a holistic approach. It's a way to make all kinds of good decisions. This little graphic that I've got down here of building a bridge, kind of building a bridge out of puzzle pieces. Just picture doing that with one person, trying to figure it out by themselves and how fast it would go. And then picture the team, each person having their own responsibility, being an expert in that responsibility. There's no question it goes faster and better. And then if one of those people doesn't do their job, what happens? Now we're coming to the question of the few again. If you're trying to make life better for the many, sometimes it's at the expense of the few who mess things up, unfortunately. You have to fire somebody once in a while. You can't fix every single problem that every single person wants to have. It's just impossible to do. Okay? But if you had that vision of business for your own job now, if you're normal, what most of you are thinking is, oh yes, the leaders of my company should have this vision of life and think about me. Right? Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But what can you do? How would this affect your life, your job, your interaction with things if you had this philosophy of business? Okay. So then here's the problem. Is it possible to focus on the few and still make the many happy? Generally not. At least it's pretty difficult to do. Okay, so how does this apply to you, our customers? This is the question I want to ask moving forward. What kinds of things should MasterControl be doing if we are sincerely trying to make life better for as many customers as we possibly can? What kinds of things would you like to see us do that we're not doing? What kinds of things are we doing now that maybe you're not taking a part in, as well as we would like you to, that would help you succeed better? Those kinds of questions. Now, here's a good example. This is actually real numbers from a presentation last year at the Master Summit from an evaluation that happened. And here's the problem that we face. Okay? If you look at this and you say, okay, scale from 1 to 10, 10 being this was an excellent presentation. Actually, I think this was excellent presenter. 1 or 0, clear down at the other end being this was really horrible. You look at this, and we have this question to ask, well, was this a good presentation or not? Should MasterControl respond to the many or the few? I have no idea who this one person was down here that rated it a 6, but when we find them, we will kill them. No, that's not true. That's not true. But that person, obviously, during this particular presentation, didn't care for it a lot. We don't know why. They may have made a comment in there. I could probably go look it up, maybe. But suppose this was just the opposite. You had one person in the 10 and 43 down at 6 or below. You can apply this thing to anything, this concept. What we have to do by nature, trying to do the best we can for as many customers as possible, is go with the feedback you guys give us. And so it's very difficult sometimes to say, okay, you one person, whoever you are, that gave a 6 to this, sorry, we're going to do it again. Well, yeah, but it didn't help me at all. There's not enough MasterControl to go around to do something for everybody. Okay, so this applies to everything: product enhancement, services, tech support, product education, so on and so forth. And the thing I'm trying to emphasize is that we would love absolutely to say we are going to solve every single problem that we can, but there are some things that you guys can do to help us to know what the priorities are. And we want to chat about that. This is our core value. We have 4 core values. This is the one we talk about a lot, especially at this event. Customer success. A successful customer experience is the ultimate representation of our product. It really is. It really is. It does no good for me to stand up here. I'm the marketing guy. Of course, you know what I'm going to say. But when Mary West stands up here and she says, hey, this is a good product. Or when Bard yesterday stands up and says, hey, this went really well for us. We went over 20 plus sites. We did 2 different modules. You know, we rolled it out here. These were the issues. These are the things that we got help with. It worked really well. There is nothing better than that. As a marketing guy, I can't ask for anything better than that. Customer success is our primary operating goal. Without that, nothing else works. So a lot of you who have been with us for a while, remember in the old building we had this wall of success. We used to put plaques on this wall once a quarter for people who had successfully implemented MasterControl. Okay? Now we have this new wall of success that's a digital one. It's electronic. It's in our new building. It's got a whole room dedicated to it, actually. And it kind of spins around. Those of you that have been to our new building, you've probably seen it already. But there's some big differences between the old and the new. The old wall, interestingly enough, was based on whether or not you successfully implemented MasterControl. So we get the product to you, we give you the help, the services, the training, whatever, we help you implement it, you go live. Is it working? Great. We're successful. Interestingly enough, we have upgraded that in an extremely significant way. The new wall is no longer based on whether or not you successfully implemented it. The new wall, to get your name on that wall, your plaque or your logo, it's based on whether or not you are happy enough to be a positive reference for MasterControl. What's the difference? Think about that for a minute. What's the difference? Okay? So let's talk about, we've got a new program that's called the 3RE program. It stands for Referenceable Reoccurring Revenue. You will probably never see the results of this program because it's mostly internal. We actually have people that are bonused, have bonuses based on the result of this calculation. But why referenceable? Why not just implementation success? You know what? How does that raise the bar for us? And when we say referenceable, we don't mean that you have to be willing to get on the phone with somebody and say, yeah, I'm a reference, ask me questions, or you don't have to host them on a site visit. But if somebody walked up to you at a trade show, for example, and said, hey, like to chat with you for a while, trying to look for a QMS, and you pop up and you say, well, we use MasterControl, and they say, well, how do you like it? If you have a positive response and you say, yeah, I would definitely recommend MasterControl. Just even in a casual setting like that. If we hear about that, we put your plaque on the wall. Okay, so there's a wide range of referenceability definitions that you can use. But what does this mean to you? It should mean a lot, because no longer is it, hey, have you implemented? Yeah, you good? Is it working? It's, are you happy enough to actually tell somebody else in any situation, formally, informally, doesn't matter, you really ought to get MasterControl. That's a different thing, and it puts a lot of pressure on us. You know, I'd credit John Beckstrand for this. He's the one that's always pushing this stuff, and he doesn't let it die. I've worked for other companies where they say customer success. Yeah, go make customers successful. And then you go about your business and you do whatever it is you do. It comes up all the time, and this is one of the programs that keeps it front and center in front of us. Craig Geege is heavily involved with this. His job is to make sure you guys are happy to a large extent. And it works. So another thing that we do, this is interesting. I ran across this just a few weeks ago. It's from Forrester Research. And what it is it's kind of a report card of how companies perceive their vendors. And it's important to us because even before seeing this, and you've heard this in other presentations, we have a pretty big emphasis on trying to overcome this very problem. I don't know if you're going to be able to read all of these things, but basically it's a survey from Forrester that asked different types of managers across the top, C-level, vice president, director, manager, these 6 questions. The first one is they're supposed to rate them on are they knowledgeable about their company and their product? So in our case, is the MasterControl representative knowledgeable about our products and our company? And they got a D+, a B-, a B-, and a C. And you can kind of see how the calculations work in the upper left corner there. Knowledgeable about my industry, meaning your industry. Okay? D-, F, D-, F. Knowledgeable about my specific business, F, 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 F. Can relate to my role and responsibilities within the organization, you specifically, F, 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 F. Understands my issues and where they can help, F, 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 F. Prepared for the questions that I ask, D-. C-level guys gave vendors in general a D-, but then Fs. And then the last one, has relevant examples or case studies to share with me, Fs all the way across. This is a big deal. I mean, if you think about this, this is horrible. This means somebody coming in to sell to you, this is the perception that most companies have about those people coming in and trying to tell you, you need what we have. So we've spent quite a bit of time trying to fix this. We have specialists, and this is by no means all of our specialists, that actually come from the industry. You've met a lot of them before. Most of these people are in product management. However, some are in sales, some are in our executive team. But they actually come from specific areas of industry that help us to understand your business. Some of them come from our competitors, where they were specialists for the competitors. If you go to our competitors and ask them, hey, do you have guys like this? Well, one of the answers you hear from some is, we used to, but MasterControl took them all. But these guys really know what they're doing. Okay? And it's important for us to continue to build this pool. And again, this isn't all of them. I could list more in very easily, so I hope I'm not offending any of our employees that say, oh, I used to be this, because I could very easily in this particular thing. Okay? The other thing that we've recently done, that I'm guessing a lot of you know about, is we hired 2 more people on our executive team that actually, until very recently, were customers. And not only were they customers, they were customer advisory board members. So they've kind of seen the gamut. And they come from 2 different types of background. Eden Venti is a quality expert. Jim King is an IT expert from one of our customers. And they're 2 very different people, by the way. They're on our executive team. We meet with them every week. They have the highest input within the company, and they have great input because they were sitting where you are 1 year ago. In reality, they're sitting out there now. There's Eden right there, but in a very different role now. And they're also very different because Eden was like this perfect customer. I mean, look at her. She's proper, she's polite, she knows her stuff. She never complains, she never caused problems that I'm aware of, and I usually hear some things like that. Jim, on the other hand, was a little bit of a tough customer. Let me look at him, He had some complaints, he had some concerns. We weren't always on the top of his list of favorite people, okay? And you can kind of tell a little bit about these people by the way that they set up their sessions this week. Eden's session, one of them, I think this is the one right after mine, in fact, managing expectations and user adoption of your QMS. Very professional, very, upfront. And you got Jim, give the biometric finger to MasterControl. It speaks volumes about these people. And so what do we do at MasterControl? Well, we bring Jim in. He's been with us, I think, 7, 8 months now. And we say, how would you like to be in charge of the main group at MasterControl that interfaces with customers? Tech support. It's really justice. There's a real good thing in there. There's really some fun in watching Jim deal with this and say, oh, that's a difficult problem to solve. Eden, coming on board, she's helping us with our quality and some of our sales stuff, and she's great. She's really, they're both just really good. And it's surprising how often we will stop our executive meetings during a discussion about how best to meet your needs and say, well, Jim and Eden, you guys were doing this last year. What do you think? And surprisingly, they're a little bit reluctant sometimes, and they don't understand that we would we want them to speak up a little bit. And they're getting better at it as we go. And we'll probably build monsters as we continue to ask them that question. But that's what we want. We have 2 people now on our executive team who understand your issues extremely well from 2 very unique perspectives. And it helps us a lot. Okay. The other thing that we do is the Customer Advisory Board. All the new people here today, I'm not sure if everybody understands what the Customer Advisory Board is. But this is, I think we've got about 24 people this year as a Customer Advisory Board. It varies a little bit. And Eden was on there until recently, so that dropped a little bit. But would all the current members of the Customer Advisory Board please stand? Sorry to do this to you, but you'll get over it. Okay, these people we meet with by WebEx, by phone, every 2 weeks for an hour, and we ask them all kinds of questions. And keep standing. Would everybody who has ever been on the Customer Advisory Board please stand? If you've ever been a member of the Customer Advisory Board in the past, please stand. Okay? So these people we meet with on a regular basis. Craig Gigi kind of runs this show, and we ask them questions about everything from product enhancements to what we want to do with services, to whether or not the website is doing what it should, to how this event should be pulled off, and we get fantastic feedback from them. They're from all industries. One of the funnest things for me is every year we create a new Customer Advisory Board, and some of them keep going and carry over, and some of them are brand new. But to a large extent, they don't meet each other until this thing. So on Monday night, we had a little gathering. It was called a meet and greet for the cab members. And it's fantastic because what you'll hear all the time is, I recognize your voice. You must be Monica. Go ahead and sit down. Thanks, guys. But this helps us tremendously in trying to get the feedback from you, again, putting you in customer success. They represent you extremely well. And you ought to spend a little time with them. If you didn't notice who they were, you don't know, you ought to spend a little time with them. And say, hey, you know what I would love for you to bring up in your next meeting with MasterControl? I'd love for this to be one of the topics you guys discuss. Because they are a wide variety of different industries, wide variety of different types of people and jobs, and they do a really good job of this. They're absolutely fantastic. So let's shift gears here a little bit to what you can do, okay? I've been talking about what we're doing, and there's some more things I want to talk about, what we're doing to try to help you. But what can you do, okay? one of the things that I would really like to encourage you to do more is to use the problem-solving tools we've provided for you. We've got various technical support channels. You heard about others that are coming up pretty soon. I thought it was interesting. I went to the roundtables yesterday. One of them was on improving communication between MasterControl and customers. And I was a little disappointed, to be honest. There were like 4 people there. And I thought, shoot, you've got Jim King right in front of you. He's a tech support guy. You got to chat with him. But we're going to continue to come up with more and more technical support channels, live chat, knowledge base, so on and so forth. LinkedIn discussion group. If you're not into social media, I am not a social media guy. LinkedIn is a way to break into that in a very professional way. It's meaningful. It has good discussions. It's got the right people. Semi-annual surveys. We send out a survey every 6 months. In fact, I think David 8 is trying to get a lot of you to take it during this event. And if you do, we won't send it out to you next month. But every 6 months, we send out this survey. Tell us how we're doing. Where are we weak? Where are we strong? And unfortunately, what happens with that is 2 things. 1, we don't get nearly the turnout that we would like. And 2, the people that we hear from most are which types of people, do you think? Yeah, the one that voted the 6, basically. The one that said, I didn't like this, and they've got something to say. We would really like to know if that represents the majority or not. And so please, 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 if you get those surveys, please help us help you. Help us to know what the majority wants so that we can do that, okay? Customer events like this, the customer website, customer forum, user voice. How many of you have ever participated in user voice? Okay. How many of you have never, ever, ever participated in user voice? I had a good time with, I think it was Martin on Monday night, one of the CAB members, Customer Advisory Board members, because he was talking to me and he said something about something he would like to see in the product. And he kind of went on and on for a minute, and then he caught himself and he said, but I haven't even gone to user voice and entered it in yet, so I had to just shut up. Well, on the CAB, they understand very well. Yeah, go use the tools that we've done. Tell us what we can build or do to help make your life better. That's the end goal, okay? What else you can do? Work with us to help make life better for the many. Understand your relationship. So this is the second bullet. Proactively try to figure out how you compare with others, okay? One of the reasons we really like companies like Bard, other than the fact that they're a really big customer for the obvious reasons, is they've got over 20 installations. We can go to a customer like Bard and say, Bard, what's working, what's not? And we get various answers. One possible answer is, well, we've got one site that's having this little problem over here, but that's, Bob, and Bob always complains about everything, so don't worry about it. Clear to, every one of our sites is saying the same thing. We've got to fix this one problem because it's universal. What are the chances of that problem applying to the rest of you? Probably pretty good, actually. Okay, so we like doing that. But we want to know, if you're not a Bard, which most of you are not, how do you compare with the people sitting next to you? What problems do you have? How do you get them solved? How do you relate to others? I don't know how many times we've sat in user group meetings, for example, and you hear somebody that starts talking, and this happens on the customer advisory board too. Somebody starts talking and says, I've got this problem, I can't solve it, it's driving me crazy, and you get 5 other people say, oh, well, just do this. Or have you been trained yet? Well, no, is that important? Well, in our industry and our product, it's really important. We're not teaching you how to tie shoes. We're teaching you some pretty complicated stuff. Okay, so find out how you compare. Realize that we can't do very many things for free. Needless to say, in any business, you get asked a lot of that stuff. Everybody wants a good deal. Not everybody's budget is huge enough to do everything they want to do. But we will try to do as much as we can to help you, and we fudge sometimes. But we obviously cannot help you in the long term if we can't make life better for the many, including you, if we do too many things for free. Now, the last one is ask what it would take to make me, meaning you, one of the many positive references for MasterControl. We have quite a few positive references, but not everybody. What would it take? And again, I'm not asking for the official thing. I'm just saying, if somebody approached you, would you say, oh yeah, you really ought to get MasterControl? They've got it figured out. They're not perfect, but they do well. What would it take to get you there? And say that to us. Let us know what that is. Put it in the survey. Talk to tech support. Talk to your sales guy. Talk to your services people. Say, I was almost going to tell somebody to buy MasterControl, but there was one thing that held me back, and it was, I don't like Craig Eege, or I don't know what it is, But let us know so we can fix it for you. We need your help. We need interaction. Okay, this is something that many of you have probably seen before. What can you do to help? One of the things that I find whenever I bring up this philosophy of business of it's there to help the many is we always want to, the human nature of people for some reason always wants to say, well, it's those guys that are the issue. It's pretty hard for some reason for us to say that, to look internally and say we could improve ourselves. I don't know why that is, but it always is that way for some reason. But this little chart has helped me a lot in trying to figure out what I should complain about and what I should pursue, what I should try to fix. There are things in my life that I can absolutely control. It's a pretty small circle, though, is what I find. There are things in my life that I can influence but not control. That's a little bit bigger circle. And there are quite a few things in my life, and I think yours as well, that I really can't influence or control at all. Okay? Trying to figure out which is which tells me quite often where I should spend my time. If I'm spending most of my time in that outer circle, I am wasting my life, to be honest. I'm wasting my time. All I'm doing is walking around, not fixing anything. But if I can spend most of my time in the two middle circles, I can get some stuff done. So how does this apply, first of all, to yourself? If you talk about making life better for the many, how does it apply to your boss? What circle do you put him in? Your CEO, your coworkers, your company. How about MasterControl? What can you control? What can you influence? What is completely outside of your control or influence? What is your responsibility as a customer to help us get those two middle circles taken care of as well as we possibly can so that you can be successful? Figure out what those things are, because you definitely have an impact. And we try to make these things, we try to set up these tools and programs to help you have an impact. Okay? This is a good example of what I'm talking about. This is actually a bumper sticker that I had made for my car a few years ago. And the reason I like it is because it automatically assumes something that we sometimes don't think about. Since you have a choice, why not be nice? Now, I commute to work every day, about 40 minutes to work, 40 minutes home, depending on traffic. And quite often there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. And I get a kick out of it because sometimes I'll look in my rearview mirror and I've got this person behind me that's their camera, trying to take a picture of my bumper sticker. Or I'll have people drive by me and they'll, do one of these, and it takes me a minute to figure out what they're talking about sometimes. But the first thing it says, since you have a choice, do you have a choice? Are you in that middle circle or the second circle? Do you have a choice to be nice or not be nice? Yeah, I kind of do. I always think I'm imposed upon. It's Matt's fault. He's my boss. He did something that just ticked me off the other day. But I do have a choice, and you have a choice on all of these other things. If you were to reword this thing, you say, okay, since you have a choice, why not try to make life better for as many people as possible? One of the biggest struggles we have at MasterControl is getting customers involved. And Bard yesterday was a prime example. Bard, is my understanding, I haven't talked to him directly, but I've heard from several different people, Bard didn't feel like they had much of importance to say. And yet you saw all the questions afterwards. What about this? How do you do this? How do you do that? And so we immediately, one of my employees, wrestled these guys or contacted them after their presentation yesterday and said, hey, what would you think about making an article or shooting a video of some sort to explain how you guys do things? There's obviously an interest. Really? Some people would really, we're really nothing special. We hear that all the time. I have nothing special to offer. Okay? It's just false. It's just plain false. All of you have unique things to offer, and you can turn to the person next to you and say, here's how I did it, and immediately you will have a good conversation 9 times out of 10. Okay? Go to user group meetings, come to this event, get out on the forums, start talking. Try to make life better for as many people as possible. And are you going to benefit from that attitude? If everybody here had that attitude, what would be the result for you? Probably pretty good. Okay, for us too. So, what's your choice? A business, including your specific job, and I want to emphasize that, okay, exists for the sole purpose of making life better for people. Do you agree or disagree? It's a choice. Okay? Should this philosophy of business apply to the few at the expense of the many, or to the many sometimes at the expense of the few? Figure that out in your mind, whether you think your job, which one yours is. Are you in it just for yourself? You go in, you check in, you clock in, you get your paycheck and you go home? Or do you actually do something to try to help other people? That's the only reason you have a job, by the way. If you didn't help other people, you wouldn't have a job, theoretically. But make the most of it is the message I'm trying to send you. Does this philosophy apply to you as well as to your boss, your VP, or CEO? What can you control? Focus on that, and you will probably have a lot more success, probably be a happier person, and probably do a whole lot in helping the many. So in closing, please go out and look at these programs, events, and tools. Please participate in the programs, events, and tools that help MasterControl make life better for you. We put them out there for you, but they're only as good as what you guys do with them. So help us help you. Putting the you in customer success. Let us know, talk to us, do the survey, tell us what you think. You know, even here in this thing, we're going to have surveys in every session, and there's one master survey at the end of this. We want to make next year's Master Summit twice as good as this year's, 3 times as good as last year's. You are the ones that are going to probably help determine whether or not that happens. So please help us help you. That's my message. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.